We're going to call this meeting to order, the Sutter County Board of Supervisors. And at this point, I'd like to read a statement to you. The Sutter County Board of Supervisors meetings will be open to the public, subject to social distancing requirements. Those that wish to attend the board meeting are encouraged to wear a face covering as recommended by the California Department of Health. Procedure for public comment. Members of the public will be allowed to address the board during the board's consideration of each agenda item. If you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card noting the number of the item on the agenda about which you wish to speak. Present it to the board and present it to the board clerk. If you wish to speak about more than one agenda item, please fill out a separate card for each item. If you wish to speak under public comment, please note that on the speaker card. When the matter is announced, please approach the speaker's lectern and after being recognized by the chair, testimony should always begin with the speaker giving their name, and all speaking will be limited to 3 minutes. Okay, and with that, I'd like to let the roll call stand from the study session that we just held, and then we'll ask everybody to please rise for our invocation. We'll do the invocation first, and I'm going to ask Dan Callahan from First Baptist Church to do our invocation, please. Hi, Dan.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for your wonderful blessing you've given to each of us, and we are blessed as a people to experience the goodness of God all around us. We pray that you would place wisdom and knowledge and understanding upon each of those that you've placed in leadership, and we pray that you would protect their families and guard their minds from the wicked one. We ask that you would direct our city, county, and state back to the heart of God, and that we would pray that you would ask for direction upon each and every one of us in the paths that we choose. Thank you, Lord, for sending the much-needed rain, and we pray that you would protect and guide our first responders and their families. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve you and this great city. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Callahan. Appreciate it. And now, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Supervisor Matt Conant from the 5th District. He tells me that's the heart of, or not the, it's God's country in God's
country.
Right,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. And we're going to start with public comment. First speaker is Courtney Ortega.
Hi, good afternoon. So I wanted to make you guys a graph. This is the COVID stats for Sutter County over the last 20 months. I hope you guys can see that okay. It's the largest I can make it. So the red line is the amount of cases that has been noted in the county. The blue line is the hospitalizations, and the purple line are the amount of deaths over the last 20 months. And over here on the right-hand side, this is the total number. And so as the graph goes toward the October side of the board, it keeps going up, but that's because up over here, this is the total amount of cases for the whole 20 months. So it's not that COVID's getting more dangerous, it's just the whole allotment on this side. So I wanted to bring this forward and show you guys this, and I wanted to ask you if this looks like an emergency to you. Because, in my opinion, this doesn't look like an emergency. And I think that's really important to kind of point out. So, what I brought to you today was a petition. I gave each of you a petition, and between the months of April and May of this year, the petition which I gave you all was circulated within the Yuba-Sutter community. It gathered strong support, considering that the petition was only circulated for 6 weeks and only had about a handful of volunteers collecting signatures. The petition gathered 1,075 signatures throughout both counties for the removal and replacement of by County Health Officer Fong Lu. Support for replacement is based on exaggerated, authoritarian, and unnecessary policies which do not support local data or facts. Dr. Liu's advice or health orders have not served the people of Yuba-Sutter. They've not kept them safe, and they do not support a way of life which the local population sees as appropriate or desired in lieu of a response to COVID-19 variants or other medical emergencies within Yuba-Sutter. And the reason why we're bringing this forward today, and we didn't bring it forward in May, we were waiting to hear back from quite a few different PCR requests, which did not give us the information that we were looking for. They all kind of said, we don't have that information, sorry. But we're bringing it forward today as we approach the cold and flu season. Yuba-Sutter doesn't need another shutdown. Yuba-Sutter doesn't need these crazy authoritarian mandates that we're seeing all over the world right now. And with statistics like this and responses that we've seen over the last year, 2 years, we've decided that our health officer is not somebody who can really be trusted with the authority as health officer. So the following citizens who have signed, you guys can look through that for your constituents, are asking for, one, the immediate firing.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up there, Courtney. Time's up. So
all right, I'm
if you can finish up.
here.
All right, thank you.
The immediate firing of Health Officer Fong Liu and an investigation or audit into the Health and Human Services Department. So I'm hoping you guys will continue talking about this at the end of the meeting, and I can follow up with you on what that investigation would look like.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
To the chair,
Yes, sir.
if I may, if citizens are interested in an investigation of a department, I would refer them to the Sutter County Grand Jury. That's the best, you know, that's what the grand jury is for. So just wanted to provide that input.
Great. If you'd like the contact information for the grand jury, you can see Steve Smith or somebody. Oh, okay. They already took it. Okay. Kathy Smith?
Through the chair,
Yes.
Courtney, I just ask you a question. If you have filed, I mean, out of curiosity, are people getting back to you in a timely manner?
We haven't heard back yet.
All right, just thank you.
To the chair, sorry. On grand jury investigations, they won't tell anyone other than people who are involved in an investigation, so you won't hear any feedback. And if people that are involved, it's I think is it a misdemeanor? Or, yeah, to comment.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Kathy Smith, sorry. You're up next. Hi. Can we turn the mic on? Yeah. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes, much
Okay.
better. If you pull, yeah, there you go.
All right. That's
Courtney's
what happens
tall,
when you're
so.
short. So my name is Kathy Smith. I'm the director of Aerostem Academy here in Yuba City. And a couple of years ago, we came before the Board of Supervisors to seek approval of a lease for the property at the airport to start our school there. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to come and give you an update. I know as an educator, I always enjoy when my students come and tell me how things went. So that's what I'm here for today. We just wanted to thank you again for approving the lease and let you know all of the great things that have happened since that happened. Of course, we had COVID closures, but we're back on campus now, and we're doing our in-person learning. We've grown from 60 students to over 150 students. We've added grades 5 through 12. So I think originally we were at 6 through 9, so we've grown very much. We're also partnering with other schools, and we're looking at Yuba College partnerships so that we can offer college credit to students in high school, and looking at the dual enrollment program. I'm trying to speak really fast so I can get it all out.
Great.
And looking at the dual enrollment program so that they can possibly graduate their high school as well as their college for their associate's degree. So we're really excited about that. We just had our 5-year approval for renewal charter with our Sutter County Office of Education. So we are not only their first independent study or independent charter school, but also we just had the 5-year renewal, so we have another 5 years to continue to grow. And our first charter school at Sutter County is also only the second charter school that's located on an airport in all of California. So it's quite an honor for us to be here, and we're excited about it. And we just wanted to let you know how much the investment that you made in us is making a difference in the kids here in the community. So we are growing. We've expanded to the fairgrounds. We've started a plane build, so we're working on our second RV-12. And again, we're on in-person learning. So things are moving along quickly. We're growing and growing, and we're really excited to be a part of this county.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that, Kathy. Staff too, I'd like to, if we could ask Aerostem Academy to come back. So they have a lot to share, and I think it'd be great for them to come back for a little bit longer time and another agenda date. Yes,
Through the chair, I was just going to say, I'd love to see the revitalization of that airport. I grew up around that place flying, and I'm just wondering if maybe we could go take a tour eventually and check out the plane you're working on. That'd be great. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I was through the chair. I was there when you guys first opened, and it was pretty incredible. And the programs you guys offer are pretty incredible to kids to really learn how the hands-on doing, sort of like Cal Poly's motto that I went to. So anyway, but good job and keep up the good work. Thank you.
Through the chair.
yes, sir.
I just want to echo what my counterparts here, the supervisors were mentioned. I actually served on the Sutter County Board of Education when we approved the charter. So to see you all start from the very bottom to see where you're at right now, it's been very, it's been a great journey. You guys, with great leadership, you guys done an amazing job, and really proud of you. And I'm really happy that we have other opportunities for the children in our community that aren't suited or ready just for the typical classroom, and giving them those opportunities and watching them grow has been it's been amazing. So thank you for offering those opportunities to the kids.
So Kathy, you can see you're going to be welcome back for a great presentation. So we look forward to seeing that. No, you won't have to rush, and we'd like to do a tour, as Supervisor McKelly mentioned as well. And he has a pilot license, so maybe he can do a test flight of one of your planes, something like that. Okay, thank you. And next public speaker is Chris Mahiran? Make sure I say your name right, sorry. Same topic, I think, huh?
Similar topic. Yeah.
Okay.
So, thank you, Board of Supervisors. I really appreciate the positive comments, and just to echo what Kathy said, just really appreciate the support for what we're trying to do in the community. I want to focus on the airport. Yeah. And I need glasses. All right. So everybody knows the Sutter County Airport serves a public safety, commercial, personal, and now educational resource for the county. But I want to take a minute to highlight a couple potential opportunities for economic development. There's a recognized national pilot shortage, and small regional airports are well suited for training. Aerostem Academy, the Northern California Initiative, and Beale Aero Club recognized this opportunity and submitted a proposal to the FAA Aircraft Pilots Workforce Development Program. If successful, we will have teachers and at least 10 high school students receive ground school instruction, flight instruction, and receive their private pilot's license. This is the first time the FAA has put this grant out to create programs to meet this pilot shortage. Now add that happening with the fact that FAA is scheduled to approve electric aircraft for flight training by 2023. This will dramatically reduce the cost of flight instruction and create opportunities and funding for things like solar charging stations and aircraft. We also have EVTOL, electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles, that are shortly coming on the horizon, and billions are being invested. And it's another innovative technology set to revolutionize transportation. These vehicles do not need long runways, and regional airports are, again, positioned to serve these vehicles for cargo transportation, like Amazon deliveries, and personal transportation. Sutter Buttes Regional Aviation Association did submit an application for ARPA funds for a needed water sewer project to serve now and to position the airport for growth. And we just, with the feedback we're getting, just want to encourage the supervisors to absolutely come visit and encourage you to visit and continue to see the airport as a resource for now and into the future. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Chris. We appreciate that. Just a quick note, Supervisor Baines, I think this would be excellent to bring up to the SACOG for their mobility projects going on. And I think especially the EVTOL sort of initiative for Sutter County would be really, really good. Supervisor Baines serves on the SACOG board for us, and he's brought back quite a bit of money to help support a lot of initiatives, and one would be in mobility, and this would fit in that. So
Definitely look
You
into
guys
it.
can have
Thank you,
a
Chairman.
future discussion too.
Through the chair?
Yes.
Chris, you saying those FAA grants are available right now or in the future?
Well, the one we applied for the pilot shortage, that was available now. So that was
Okay.
the first time they offered that. And there's also another one that's similar for aircraft maintenance and repair.
Okay.
It was a side-by-side grant program. The other one for the eVTOL aircraft is anticipated. For electric aircraft flight training, we know that we've talked to the folks in Fresno that did receive a grant to get the solar charging stations at their regional airport to be positioned for when those become certified for flight training.
Well, maybe, Steve,
So
we can reach out to him and see about applying for that. Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
And just there are just good aviation. There's a strong aviation community that's growing. The Northern California Aerospace Initiative and Sabra. There's just a lot of folks that can that really know a lot more than I, that could really help support and understand these changes in the industry. So absolutely, we're ready to be part of that in any way we can assist.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Chris. We'll follow up. Yeah. Okay. Next up is Sammy. Sorry, I can't read your last name on here. It's okay. But I know who you are. I've met you a few times. Good to see you.
How you doing, gentlemen? I wasn't going to come in today, but I heard some really disturbing news from my mother. She has a friend, a very close friend, whose granddaughter got vaccinated very recently, and she started to immediately have negative ramifications because of it. She's now experiencing brain swelling, lung swelling. My own grandmother has gone vaccinated a little while ago as well, and she's also starting to experience negative ramifications. And, you know, when I go onto your Sutter County Board of Supervisors website, I see in big letters here that the supervisors strongly encourage all in Sutter County to get vaccinated. And, you know, as more and more I start hearing of these negative consequences of taking the vaccine, especially with all the medical professionals that are starting to come out saying that the vaccine is not what we think it is, and it is harming a lot of people. And more people are starting to come out with the harm that it's causing to them. And I start to ask, you know, if we're starting to see that all these things are starting to happen in real time and it's getting closer and closer to my family and my family's friends, what will it take for us to start to acknowledge and maybe look for more information and education as to what this vaccine is actually doing to the people? Because the way that I see it is that this vaccine is a genocide. This is a genocide against the people, and people are being hurt by it. And if we look at the Nuremberg Code, I know that you guys have seen it before and you've been told about it before, is that any sort of experimental anything, it has to match. So if we look at the definition of what a vaccine is, a vaccine is supposed to provide immunity against the virus. And I know you, Supervisor Conant, you got sick anyways, right? So that right away tells you that it is experimental. You know, there's other parts to it as well. It protects recipients from getting the virus, like I said just now, reduces deaths from the virus infection, reduces circulation of the virus, reduces transmission of the virus. So this vaccine doesn't meet any of those requirements. It's truly hurting people. And if we look at the Nuremberg Code number 4, avoid all unnecessary suffering and injury. Nuremberg Code number 5, no experiment to be conducted if there's reason to think injury or death will occur. Well, there's more and more evidence, resounding evidence all over the place, especially, like I said, there's 83,000 medical professionals that are coming out saying that this is causing undue harm to the people. So when I see you guys as the leaders of this county, I ask, what will it take? What will it take? What kind of evidence do you need? What type of education do you need for us to show you that this is not something that we should be strongly encouraging in Sutter County? You know, I understand that this county is one of the least vaccinated in California, but I think that it's time that we truly call this for what it is. And, you know, this is a massive profit scheme. It's a genocide against the people. We are living in really, really weird times. And it's getting scarier and scarier for the day for a lot of people that are starting to feel the negative ramifications of these vaccines. There's a lot of people that are experiencing and having very terrible times, and they don't have no idea what to do, where to report, and how to move forward. So, you know, I just came here. I wasn't even to come here today, but this news of this young lady having these terrible ramifications. She's a 15-year-old girl, and she was super healthy before this fact. And now she's struggling. She's in the hospital. She's been in the hospital for like a week. And I start to think, what if that was my little brother? What if that was my sister? Right? That's terrible. So I ask you, gentlemen, please, if you want to reach out to me, I'll give you my phone number. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll meet with you personally. But what will it take? What do we have to show you that this entire COVID thing is a massive hoax? It's hurting our people.
Okay, I have to ask you to wrap it up. If you got,
All right,
okay.
yeah. Thank you. I'll move on. But, I just thank you for your time, and I hope that you heard my words, and I appreciate it. If there's a way that I can get in contact with you so that maybe we could figure out a way to get you all the information and maybe talk with some medical professionals on the other side, please let me know.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your comments. Okay, next up, Bijan.
Well, that was quick. I didn't expect to come up here so quickly. Thank you. My name is Bijan Parhizgar, and I'm very grateful to have an opportunity to be here with you. What I would like to do is follow up on the comments made by Courtney. First, I'd like to thank the board and the board of Yuba County for passing the 2 resolutions. That was fantastic. I'm very proud of you guys. I was here the night that you guys discussed it and decided to pass it. However, a little underhanded comment, their resolution is a little stronger than yours is here. So with that in mind, I'm wondering if the good doctor is aware of the revelations that has happened in the counties here. Maybe if she would attend some more of your meetings, she would know that we've had these 2 resolutions, and maybe she would try to act more in sync with what the people of these 2 counties have asked and have received. With paying her $265,000 a year minimum between the 2 counties, I would expect her to be more involved and more apparent. I mean, just for optics' sake, I think she would need to be here. She doesn't even live in these 2 counties, and we are paying her. Does she ever attend any meetings besides Zoom? I've never heard her or her voice. And who does she report to? Who are her bosses? And how is she monitored? How do you know what she does every day as your employee? I have done remote management, personnel management. I had 80 to 100 engineers in 9 counties that I remotely managed for the last 20 years of my profession as a civil engineer. And it's tricky. I can tell you it is very tricky. You have to be really on the ball. And her actions do not sync the decisions that her bosses make. And her being a doctor also, I'm hoping that she would recognize the privacy of the doctor-patient relationship. That is important. What I do with my body or what you do with your body is your business and your doctor's business. Let's see. That's where I ended. I'm not going to use my whole 3 minutes, I guess, but that's the comments I'd like to offer you. And again, I commend you for doing the right thing for your constituents, and I hope that will continue. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bijan. Appreciate it. Okay, next, Emily Milano.
Hello. So I also wanted to say that, I feel that Dr. Liu is not a part of our community. She doesn't live here. She doesn't know our community, and she really shouldn't be in charge of representing us in any way because of that. And from what I understand, she's currently pushing some sort of tracking system, which really would infringe upon the public's rights to privacy. I noticed in your agenda, item 24 has some funding for COVID case investigation contact tracing. We really need to maintain our privacy, and really any tracking of the public at this point is not for public health. The Constitution of the U.S. and California protect our right to privacy, and we just can't have a county health officer who's in favor of quarantining healthy people who are not at high risk from COVID. The CDC website indicates that persons under 50 years of age are at very low risk. Even further, persons under 18 years of age, deaths are non-existent, yet here we are unnecessarily masking and quarantining healthy school kids, and I feel that this all needs to stop. I'm a mom. I will not let my kid get that vaccination, whether it's FDA approved or not. There's lots of things that are FDA approved. That does not mean that they're right for me or my children. And I thank you for your vote on the resolution for, Sutter County to not enforce any vaccine mandates. But I really think that the public needs you to take it a step further, and make sure that our constitutional rights are upheld. And we really need more of an ordinance or something banning us from being subject to vaccine mandates. And we need to make sure that people are not discriminated on one way or another. If you want to get the vaccination, that's your decision and it's fine, and you shouldn't be discriminated on for that, and neither should I for not wanting it. And I just feel that you guys are elected to represent us and protect us from all of this, and I need your help to especially protect the children of our community who can't protect themselves right now. There's huge numbers of people that are going to remove our children from the public school system because of these mandates. We can't allow them. And so that's what I have to say. I'd really mostly like your help to protect our children, and I don't think that Dr. Liu is effective or should be in charge of representing our community. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And next up, Jason Kahn.
Yes, Jason Kahn, 445 Camino Cortez. It's been a while since I've been here, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. Been working a lot, and rain's allowed me to come back in. Missed some few opening statements, ran a little bit late, but looks like everybody's on the same page as I am. Commend you guys for what you've been doing. It's nice living in a place that we do have a little freedom. You guys are steering us in the right direction. I hope we can keep headed that way. But we do have a big hurdle in front of us with our health official, Dr. Liu. She has been steering us in the wrong way, giving us the wrong direction, wrong guidance, and has been this way for a while. I've mentioned her before. We've mentioned her before. We've asked her many times to join us on Zoom or show up to a meeting. I think she showed up once and really didn't answer our questions, answered questions that were irrelevant to what we've asked her. Would appreciate if she'd start participating in some of these meetings. I know that our schools is a big issue of what she's some of the stuff that she's guiding us in, and that's scary. So I would ask you guys to consider getting rid of her. She's not for us, and she's not helping us. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Janet Johnson. I'm a Sutter County resident, and I thank you for allowing me to speak today. I wasn't going to speak, but something came up as far as tracking. It's been a year ago. They are tracking because my birthday's November 9th, and on the 8th of November of last year, I went to my niece's, even sat at the dinner table, my grandson and I both did, with my niece and all of her family. And I was getting ready to leave for Texas on the 23rd of November. So she called me the next Saturday, and she told me that they were all sick with COVID, or she'd tested positive for COVID. My grandson and I, neither one got sick at all. But I didn't want to not be able to go on my trip to Texas. So I went down the very next day, which was a Sunday, which gave me a day and 2 weeks. So I had just turned 75 years old. And I actually had to fake symptoms, and this is down at urgent care. And I faked symptoms so that I could be tested, which I know about it now. I wished I hadn't been, but I did it because I didn't want to not be able to go see my granddaughter and my 2 great-grandsons. And that was on a Sunday. And then on my phone on Monday, in capital letters, it said CA, California COVID team. And I thought, oh, they've got my results. Well, it wasn't. They track you. They find out where you're at or whatever. I mean, are we living in a totalitarianism country already? You know, I mean, this tracking thing is it's just out of hand. The whole thing is out of hand. And I also go along as far as what's been said about Dr. Lou. She's not in this county, even though she's supposed to represent our counties. These mandates and things that she's placed on everybody. And I will retell another story, and I hope I can get in the 3 minutes. And I speak from personal things, and I said this once before, but sometimes people need to hear things several times before it really sinks in. But I had a cousin that got very sick on August the 3rd, and she's 9 years younger than me. And her daughter convinced her to go to urgent care. She went down there on the 8th of August. They tested her, and since she tested positive, they did nothing for her. And at the time, looking back, she had to have had bronchitis to have gotten as sick as she did. They said, go home, isolate for 10 days. So she went home, but she only lasted 8 days, and she was on death's door. So her husband took her back to urgent care on the 16th. They said, you've waited too long, you got to go to the hospital now. Well, she knew better than to go over to Rideout, or as they call it, Adventist now. So she went to Sutter Roseville. As it turned out, she had double pneumonia, and we discussed it later. Had she died, she would have been put down as a COVID death. And that's how these statistics are getting up. And I know I did share this once before, but I feel like it's really important. I feel like people should stop and look at these things. And I think it's important when we know these things personally to be truth. I just feel like I have to get up today and speak truth. And I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
And I hope you consider this, and especially with Dr. Lou, because I feel like all she's done is hurt our community, and she's not even within our community. Thank you, and have a blessed day.
All right, you too. Thank you.
No, it is up there. I believe you marked that you wanted to speak for item number 24. That's an appearance item. Yes.
Through the chair. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all those, well, let's do a roll call vote, please. Madam Clerk. Thank you.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. The ayes have it, and the consent calendar carries. Move on now for appearance items, and we'll start with Neil Hay.
22.
Madam Clerk, do you want to read the title of the appearance item?
Approval of an independent contractor agreement with Wood Rogers in the amount of $35,600 for engineering and environmental services to secure a Central Valley Flood Protection Board encroachment permit for a pipe replacement adjacent to Bridge 18C-0112 South Butte Road at the Waldsworth Canal. Waive the requirement for a request for proposals for consultant selection under the provisions of Sutter County Ordinance Code 16-050. Authorize an adjustment to the fiscal year 2021-22 adopted budget for Roads Fund 3-100 in the amount of $45,000. Authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute all contract documents and authorize reimbursement of prior expenses to the landowner. 4/5 vote required. BTV 2022-036.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And Neil?
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. So kind of as the title summarizes, so this was a county bridge replacement from 1995-96. When it was placed, there was a portion of pipe that was supposed to be replaced 255 feet. I actually have an as-built sheet that's in the staff report that we could pull up. For some reason, about 30 feet of it was not replaced. Consequently, the Central Valley Flood Protection Board and DWR are requiring it to be replaced. It provides irrigation water to a field that is southwest of the county bridge location. And so they've contacted our department, and we've come with a list of recommendations. Essentially, we would need to hire a consultant for essentially an environmental permit and a levee drawing to be submitted to the Central Valley Flood Protection Board so that the work can take place. Requires a budget amendment in total of about $45,000, which includes a contingency. It provides for a contract with a civil engineering environmental firm called Wood Rogers from Sacramento. They're under contract on other county projects. And then additionally, the landowner who is affected by this has incurred costs of $5,598.26 related to this pipe and his dealings with the state, and so we were looking from the county to reimburse them. The funds from this, the $45,000 in total, would come from budgeted road funds, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Supervisor Baines?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Move to approve.
Okay, I just have one question. For the 95-96 period, why did we leave this portion of pipe out?
Unfortunately, it's, I wish I could show you, it's undetermined. Essentially, it's the remaining 30 feet that actually go into a manhole riser, and that's essentially what draws the water from the Waldsworth Canal. So this is just southeast of the community center. And unfortunately, the as-built notes, the as-built drawings don't delineate. Unfortunately, there are no change order records. There must have been some decision that was made in the field at the time. And it's lasted until this time. What happened is the Army Corps of Engineers was doing a levee inspection with the DWR, and this came up as a needing to be addressed because of their concerns about any penetrations through the levee.
Understood. All right, thank you. I have a first and a second. A roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Neil. Appreciate it. Matt Michaelis, next item. Madam Clerk, if you could read the item, please. 23.
Approval of a service agreement with Genesis Incorporated in the amount of $92,628 for an evacuation management platform, Zone Haven, for a 4-year period commencing on the date of signing and renewing automatically each year thereafter, and authorization for the county administrator to execute all contract documents.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Matt? Is Matt on Zoom? Oh, Zach. It says Matt. Okay. It says Zach on here, but then I have Matt.
Yeah, to the chair, I'm sorry. Zach unexpectedly is available. I'd just like to point out and congratulate Zach on his new daughter from 2 days ago, and that he's in his vehicle presenting because his wife and new daughter are in the house taking a nap. He's a very dedicated employee. We appreciate him tuning in for this.
You had to sneak out to the car to get that done, Zach. I love it. All right.
Wake him up.
Well, thank you. We're glad you made it. So go ahead and do the presentation, Zach. Can you hear us?
I think he's muted.
Yeah, you're muted right now on this end. Still muted.
Hey, Zach, one thing I've tried before is *6. I don't know if that, or if that's only Zoom.
Let's go ahead and proceed to the next item, and then we can come back to Zach when we get him. Madam Clerk, let us know when he comes back online, if you would. And then we'll go to item number 24. Leah will present. And Madam Clerk, if you could read the item, please.
Approval of an agreement with the Public Health Institute for COVID case investigation and contract tracing services, not to exceed a reimbursement amount of $282,284 for the period of October 27th, 2021 through April 27th, 2022.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. And Leah Northrup. Hi, Leah. Oh, you're muted. Do we have everybody muted today?
The volume is wrong.
Still muted on this end.
Excuse me, Chair, could we maybe take just a 5-minute break for technical
Sure, okay,
issues?
we'll take a 5-minute break.
All aboard!
Just trying to get that squared away.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Zach, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, we're just on a break. We'll be right back.
Okay.
Item 24, we'll come back to order. And Leah, go ahead if you would do your presentation, and Zach will come back to you. Is Leah here? Dr. Liu is in the house. Hello, Dr. Liu. Yes.
Sorry, to the chair. Staff can do whatever order you want. I would mention that I think Zach's
That's right. He's
probably
in his car, right?
a lot
So we got to
shorter.
get him back to the baby. Okay. All right. Sorry. Let's Leah, Dr. Liu. Let's let Zach. He just had he's a new, newbie with a new daddy. So
we'll cede the floor back to Zach.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've been there, Zach. So go ahead.
Okay, so from the parking lot of the hospital.
Oh wow. Okay.
So before you is a contract for $92,628 for Genesis Incorporated, otherwise known as Zone Haven. It is a evacuation planning platform. After the Orville Dam incident in 2017, it was determined that the evacuation planning in Sutter County was lacking, and an evacuation map was created and published on the county's website. Per the board's strategic priorities, funding was secured and a request for proposal was advertised to continue the evacuation planning efforts. So this is that continuation of the evacuation planning efforts. We did do that RFP, and Genesis was our, well, they were the only ones, but they were, excuse me, they were the most responsive to the bid. I've actually had the opportunity to use them during the CZU fire, the glass incident, and then most recently on the Dixie fire up in Susanville. So this is the same platform that a number of counties in California are going to. Yuba County recently went into contract with Zone Haven and did a campaign of Know Your Zone. So before you today is that contract to approve Steve to sign it.
Okay. Any discussion or entertain a motion?
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a
Second.
We have a first and a second.
Yeah, through the chair, I think this is excellent. This is something we've all been working on, especially since then. You had a great job.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Ziegemeier. And we have a first by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor Baines. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier? Yes. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Ayes have it. Motion carries. Get back to that baby. Boy, the girl or boy?
Thank you. And now that we've got this approved, I'll be bringing Zone Haven in front of the board so we can do a presentation for you guys.
The boy or girl?
The little girl, Harper Ann.
Oh, congratulations.
I don't have any of those girls.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
Give our regards to Mama. All right, take care.
Will do.
Good luck.
All right, now we'll go to item 24, Leah and Dr. Liu.
Good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen so I can pull up a quick presentation. Just bear with me for just a second. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see the presentation. So I will get started. Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. Leah Northrup, Sutter County Health and Human Services Public Health Branch Director. I'm here today to present the case investigation and contact tracing contract with the Public Health Institute, along with Dr. Fong Liu, Health Officer for Sutter and Yuba counties. So I wanted to give you a bit additional information regarding this contract with the Public Health Institute, which is also known as PHI. This is a 6-month contract with PHI that would assist Sutter County Public Health with contacting COVID positive cases and close contacts, providing information on quarantine and isolation protocols and coordinating care, and also providing, answering any questions that any COVID positive cases or close contacts may have. These PHI contractors are already trained and experienced in case investigation and contact tracing methods. And essentially, they will only need to learn our county protocols and procedures. So in other words, these contractors would be able to hit the ground running and really provide some much needed relief for our current case investigators, as many of our COVID team have been working 7 days a week conducting case investigations and related activities. Also want to note that this contract would eliminate need for overtime that is currently occurring, and also provide coverage on holidays and the weekend. Also, this assistance is needed as our case counts remain high. Just looking at the past week, we've had 181 cases. And furthermore, just even looking at 3 days this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we had 95 cases in just those 3 days. Also, just want to bring up that in addition, once we experience a decrease in our COVID cases, these PHI contractors will also be able to support our efforts to prevent and mitigate other communicable diseases. This includes a number, STDs such as syphilis, gonorrhea, and others. Also, just want to reiterate, this contract does not have any impact on the general fund. And once again, like I mentioned before, would eliminate the overtime that is currently occurring. And also, this contract is funded by 2 federal grants that public health is receiving. So the general fund is not impacted. Next, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Liu, and she'll go over some information regarding public health case investigation and contact tracing.
Through the chair.
Yes.
You made the comment of overtime. What did you mean by that? Like, who's paying for this right now as we speak?
We're paying the current staff with the federal funding that we're receiving for COVID-related activities and communicable disease activities.
Or CARES Act money. Is that correct, Steve?
Different thing, CARES Act. This,
So this is not part of that. This is
separate. Yep.
Yeah.
It's
separate funding.
Any further questions, Supervisor Gilmeyer? Okay, Dr. Liu.
Next slide, please, Leah.
I just have a slight delay. There we go.
So what is public health contact investigation and tracing? So at the outset, I really want to emphasize that contact investigation and contact tracing is a core disease control measure employed by both local and state department personnel for many decades with great success. In the context of COVID-19, case investigators and contact tracers are tasked with immediately identifying and interviewing persons with confirmed COVID-19. They support isolation for those who are infected. They notify the close contact of their exposure, assess the close contacts for symptoms presence and other high-risk factors, and provide instruction for next steps, including how to appropriately quarantine and when and where to get testing. Case investigation and contact tracing is essential to stop chains of transmission for all communicable disease and not just specific to COVID-19. Early treatment is only specific for the infected person, but cannot and should not be considered as a supplant for good disease control. Only contact investigation and tracing can accomplish that. Next slide. So how does public health contact investigation and tracing work within the specific context of COVID-19? But what I'm going to relate to you is really the process for any communicable disease, whether it be tuberculosis, syphilis, chlamydia, gonorrhea. So first step, positive COVID-19 cases are confirmed by the lab, the doctor's office, the hospital, and then they report those positive cases to state and local public health departments. Once the public health departments have been notified, time is of the essence to be able to conduct timely contact investigation and contact tracing, so then the chain of transmission can be broken. To protect patient privacy, the close contacts are only informed that they have been exposed to the infection, but not the identity of the individuals who may have exposed them. Next slide. So how does it work further? Is that for about 2 decades now, 20 so years, the California state has a CalReady database for all communicable diseases, anywhere from measles to chlamydia to salmonella to tuberculosis, everything. But with the overwhelming numbers of thousands of cases of COVID-19 that's come through since March 2020.
Excuse me, through the chair.
Yes, good.
My son had salmonella poisoning in 2020. No one called me. No one said anything. So I'm trying to, you just mentioned salmonella poisoning.
So salmonella is a reportable disease, but not all of them come to what we call as a significant public health concern. So it depends on the clinical criteria and whether that specific case is in what we call a high-risk setting to warrant public health investigation. So a salmonella outbreak is when we would get involved from a public health standpoint.
Okay, well, he was pretty sick for about 5 days, and they refused to test him. Actually, this was right when COVID first happened. They said, we're not testing for that. And like I said, they called us up about 6 days later when he was all better and said, Salmonella poisoning. This was a lab here in town, but there was Salmonella poisoning. Have a good day. Talk to you later. So I'm trying to scratch my head here when you said Salmonella. Thank you.
So, yeah, there are the clinical diagnosis that does not rise to the level of public health outbreak contact investigation level. So going back to the discussion about CalReady not being sufficient as a database to handle the overwhelming number of COVID-19 cases. So the state had to create a new database called CalConnect, and it's essentially a streamlined mechanism for collection of data for case investigation and contact tracing specific to COVID-19. It is very important to note that CalConnect is not California Notify. California Notify is an optional opt-in way for individual to voluntarily sign up so that the contact tracing can occur via Bluetooth connection. Sutter County has not at all been involved with California. Right? Next slide. So again, to stress the importance and effectiveness of contact investigation and contact tracing, I want to raise for your attention the case example of tuberculosis. So in September 2018, United Nations convened the first ever high-level meeting to discuss the global response for ending the TB epidemic by 2035. And in bold there is their emphasis that in order for the world to achieve the elimination target for the elimination of tuberculosis, they have to focus on active case finding and prevention strategies such as TB contact investigation. Comparison, 1953, the U.S. had 84,304 active TB cases for a case rate of 52.6 cases per 100,000. In 2019, it has gone down to 8,916 active TB cases for a case rate of 2.7 cases per 100,000. What was the key difference in 60 years to lead to a 20-fold decrease in the number of active TB cases? Aggressive contact investigation and contact tracing to break the chain of transmission for tuberculosis. So contact investigation, contact tracing is foundational to how we control disease from a public health standpoint. Okay, thank you. And Lee and I will be happy to answer your questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Before we bring it back to the board, I do have a couple of public comments on it. Diane Jager. You can turn your mic on, please.
There we go.
Thank you.
Now you can, I have the opposite. I'm tall, so you can't ever get it up there high enough. I just would like to bring back to your attention what information I disclosed at your previous meeting, the committee meeting, and that is that it is more about the privacy issue with this contract, as stated in the exact document, is where I really have a problem. This goes beyond going and addressing someone and saying, oh, you know, who were you in contact with or whatever. This actually states in the document that it is Bluetooth phone connections. It goes beyond tracing. They actually use the word surveillance. And they also have a little hidden in one spot that says when you go and flip of what it will do or what the information they will get from you via Bluetooth connection and this tracing. There's one area that I have a real problem with that, and that is that they state in the document there is no exclusion to what they can do with this information and what they can collect. So I would like you to imagine that you and your family have your cell phones on you and you're traveling, and all of a sudden you have law enforcement around you because you ran into somebody or you did this or whatever, and they're tracking you. It goes beyond, because of this exclusion. If you amend the contract with them and say, there's a lot of excluded, you can do this and this and this, I wouldn't have a problem with it if it was voluntary only. But that is not what this document says. It has basically, it opens the door for whoever wants that information. There's no control on the data that's collected. There's no control, or is there statements about where that information will be held, who has access to it. So you're talking about my freedom, my privacy will be obliterated, but also every single one of you, every single one in this room. And I have a really large problem with that, because my Constitution says I have freedom and I have privacy. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Courtney Ortega.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, I mean, I spoke at your guys' committee meeting as well. There were about 6 of us that came, and it's like Groundhog's Day. I just have to say everything again. But, you know, I don't agree with this. I'm really hoping that you guys won't pass this. It's not right for our community. Dr. Liu, I'm really happy that you're here right now. I don't understand how this type of a measure is the way that this county needs to mitigate sick people, like needs to help stop the spread of a virus. You know, we're not talking anything about early treatment. We're not talking about nutrition. We're not talking about the body's immune system and the immune response that we can have to overcoming a virus through nutrition. You know, I don't understand how contact tracing is the way that we're going to overcome this. You know, this came before Yuba County, and they dismissed it. They didn't pass it, and I really hope that you all will do the same. Dr. Liu, I know there's a couple thousand people within Yuba-Sutter that would love to sit down with you, or, you know, over Zoom if that would make you more comfortable, and have a town hall to discuss, you know, where do these decisions come from, and where does this thinking come from? You know, it's no medical advice that we've ever had, and so I know that really confuses a lot of people here locally, and especially when we see the types of numbers that we're seeing from COVID. You know, there's a lot of cases like Linda mentioned, but we're also seeing a lot of recovery, and a lot of recovery naturally versus, you know, vaccination, which hasn't been all it's cracked up to be as we thought it would. So you guys know where I stand. I know there's a lot of people here locally that would echo that same thought. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Courtney. Appreciate it. And I'll bring that back to the board now for discussion. Any comments from the board?
Through the chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I just had a
Kelly.
A couple of questions, and Leah, for you or Dr. Liu, whoever wants to jump in. So because it's federal funding, if we were to reject this and not accept this, the state, it sounds like, will still provide the funding to keep this going, or we are required by a state statute and mandates, right, that we have to continue to do contact tracing, correct? Or Robin, is that for you, maybe a question for you?
So one of the mandated public health activities is communicable disease control, and as part of that, it is contact investigation and tracing, and that is under multiple state statutes and health and safety codes. And specific to your question, Supervisor McKelly, about federal funding, this is a grant from the federal government Centers for Disease Control and Control and Prevention to the state, then sub-allocated to Sutter County. If this contract with PHI does not pass, does not mean that the state can step in in and provide staffing. They have declined repeatedly to do that overall. In urgent matters, critical matters, it's a one by one kind of case by case basis, but it's not something that we can rely on as sort of a given.
And I'll just add to that. So we have a current team that is providing the COVID case investigation, contact tracing, and support. And so, but because of our caseload, those staff are working 7 days a week and, excuse me, generating overtime. And so the direction with this contract is to provide them some relief, but if the contract did not get approved, we would continue with our current efforts and look into extra hire. That just takes time to bring people on board and trained. And so it would just continue that overtime and work activities of our current staff.
And one more question. So is there any type of a deadline that we have to accept this, or is it possible that for us to maybe research this a little bit more, we could possibly vote for a continuance for 2 weeks from now?
There is not a deadline.
Okay, thank you.
Just a follow-up question. So Supervisor McKelly asked about the state mandate. So it is a state mandate, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a public health required activity, mandated activity for communicable disease control, yes.
Okay, so required, however, they're not helping to fund it. Is that correct? Or they are helping to fund it?
The state cannot guarantee state-provided staff. Right, so the federal funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is allocated to California, state of California, that then sub-allocates to Sutter County. But really, it's up to each county, each local health jurisdiction to operationalize that funding and find the appropriate staffing.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liu.
Through the chair.
Yes, Supervisor Ziegemeier.
Dr. Liu, I feel that the public feels the persona that the government is basically getting a free pass for spying. And when you look at what's going on with everything, you know, in 1974, you got the Privacy Act, and which has basically been squashed. You know what, there has to be protocol, and the tracking that's been going on, HIV, syphilis, and so forth, that is working, but we're talking about a whole different beast here. We're talking about something that a virus that can be passed along to someone just as easily, whether you're vaccinated or not. There are parents that are, let's say you have the parent that is a single parent that, God forbid, gets COVID, and they're asymptomatic, and you know they're taking their child to school, and it's happening. And there's no one else to give their child a ride to school. Their child, they're keeping them spaced out. They're doing everything they can. But what I'm getting at is, I don't want to see what's happening in Australia happen here, where that person steps outside, their phone rings, they're arrested. They are going to jail. That is a fact. That is happening. That is not and so, as a public, you know, I'm against all this, you know, we have our privacy, and they're just, I feel like we're invading even more and more, and we're giving them the opportunity to invade even more with this stuff. And just with what you're doing now, with everything else, just leave it alone. But that's how I feel.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Baines, did you have a comment?
I just have a question, again, going back to a couple questions. One was, it can be made as a volunteer basis, as one of the people from the public, Ms. Jager, had requested. Is that a possibility?
In terms of volunteer contact investigator tracer, we have not had success with that, and it's very chaotic in the beginning when other jurisdictions have tried that. because of the fact that they don't stick around long enough, and then the training that we need to do to educate contact investigator and contact tracer on appropriate protocols, not from just CDC and the state, but also any local related guidance is very critical. So the high turnover is actually would be detrimental to robust communicable disease control.
Through the chair.
Yes.
What about the individual that goes to Walgreens and gets the self-test and tests themselves? So in theory, this whole tracking system doesn't work, because I guarantee you, well, I know for a fact, because when I went in there and I bought a bunch of tests I buy for my company and so forth, and I believe they have 250 show up every Tuesday and Thursday, all the Walgreens, and they sell out. And I guarantee you, those people that are getting positive right there are not calling in and saying, hey, I'm positive. They're just self-isolating, doing what they're told, in which I respect that. That's all we're asking. You know, you're staying in. But that should be like anything. You get the flu, you stay home. You got a sniffle, you stay home. You don't go out to the party, you wash your hands. That's all we're asking. So, in theory, then, it's kind of being hypocritical of saying that, hey, this tracking works, because you have over probably 3,000, 4,000 tests being sold throughout the Yuba-Sutter area. Let's say 15 or 20% are actually, once they get a positive test, are actually going in to get the actual laboratory tests. So I said 10, 15%. It could be 40, 50%, but either way, that still leaves a lot of room for error. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Baines, did you have a follow-up?
Just one other question was that this contract starts, so the period starts tomorrow until April. I mean, going back to Supervisor McKelly's question, what happens if we don't pass this today? Where does that kind of leave us?
With the contract, if you wanted to continue for 2 weeks, it would just extend the start date. So what we're looking for with this contract, because the PHI contractors are experienced and trained, is to provide some relief to our current staff that are doing case investigation and contact tracing. If it was moved 2 weeks from now, then the start date of the contract would not, basically it would not happen until after the contract is approved by the board.
So the tracing is actually being done whether we pass this today or not?
The tracing continues to be done. The concern is our current staff that are working on case investigation and contact tracing are working overtime 7 days a week, so this contract would provide them some much needed relief.
Okay, and then last question. The reimbursement amount, will that change if we don't use their services for the next 2 weeks, or is that staying the same?
In terms of the contract amount would stay the same. It would not change.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion for a continuance on this item to November 9th.
Okay,
I'll second.
I have a first and a second
To the
for continuance.
chair.
Yes, sorry. Eve?
Supervisor CAO. Thank you, sir.
Supervisor CAO.
I was just going to ask if the board would like to continue this, and obviously that's the board's discretion. Is there additional information on specific sections that you want back for consideration, for that future consideration in a couple weeks?
Supervisor McKelly, did you have?
Oh, I want to review the contract again in detail.
Okay.
Diane Jagger had brought that up, so I want to look at some of those points again, and then maybe we can come back to it.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a first and a second. Diane, we're going to vote first, and if you have a comment, I'll allow it after the vote. Okay, if we can do that first. So go ahead and roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
No.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Koenig?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. We'll have a continuance for 2 weeks, and then the staff will direct you for any further information we need for that. And Diane, if you want to make a quick comment, please.
Mr. Ziegenmeyer, I'd like to respond because you asked a question. And this is stated in the states, in the Department of California's Health Department, in this Cal Connect, and that it is, they said that the problem is with this quote tracing is that it's lagging behind because of the lack of the population's trust and what they see. So it's not going to get any better. What it will do is, by signing it as is, it opens this huge can of worms. So That they even stated in their document in their audit report.
Okay, thank you. And then we're going to move on to the next item. We have that on continuance. Gina Rowland, please, Human Resource Director. Madam Clerk, can you read the item?
Approval of a Memorandum of Understanding with the Sutter County Deputy Sheriff's Association for terms and conditions of employment for the period of July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2023.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board.
Good afternoon,
Rowland,
Gina.
Human Resources Director. I hope it's okay that I'm at this podium. I'm normally over there.
That's fine, yeah, no problem.
So the item before you is requesting approval of a new 2-year contract between the county and the Deputy Sheriff's Association. As a reminder, the Deputy Sheriff's Association name is a little bit misleading as there are no deputy sheriffs in that bargaining unit. The deputy sheriffs formed their own bargaining unit, the Sutter County Peace Officers Association, earlier this year. And we're currently in active negotiations with that unit. So this unit includes correctional officers, public safety dispatchers, and other sheriff admin staff. So the agreement includes or provides for ongoing increases in the amount of 2% each year of the contract. It provides for equity adjustments that are in response to total comp surveys that were conducted and will bring public safety dispatcher and welfare investigator classes to within 10% of market. Presently, public safety dispatchers are 18.86% below market and welfare investigators are 11.46% below market. The contract also provides for one-time non-pensionable lump sum payments, essential worker pay, that is paid for under the American Rescue Plan Act. It restructures longevity pay so that it's no longer salary steps. The employees will get a salary differential after milestone years of service. And then it also includes the same medical insurance changes and rates that we have been working to negotiate with all other bargaining units. The cost of the new contract is $255,046 for fiscal year 21-22, and it's $497,558 for fiscal year 22-23. Those are the ongoing increases. And then the essential worker lump sum payments, it's $217,632 for fiscal year 21-22 and $223,084 for fiscal year 22-23. One thing that's not included in this staff report that I will be coming back to the board for is recommendations to extend these negotiated provisions to the unrepresented management classes at the Sheriff's Department, Correctional Lieutenant, Communications Manager, Admin and Finance Manager Law. That will ensure parity with the management classes and the employees that they supervise. Again, that is not a part of this recommended action, but I will be back before you to make that recommendation. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Bring back to the board for any questions.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and a unanimous second over here, so that'd be great. We'll go to roll call,
I'd like
please.
to, before we vote, I'd like to thank Gina. Thank you for you guys' work. That's great. I think that the Sheriff's Association will appreciate it, and the jailers and probation officer, jailers will approve it. They already approved it, so that's great. I think it's good work. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Yep, I think everyone would echo those sentiments, so it's great. Thank you. We'll go to roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Okay, thank you. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. Okay, we'll move now to Steve Smith. I think Matt is going to do the presentation. There he is.
Yes.
Hello, Matt. You're up. Madam Clerk, can you go ahead and read the resolution?
Adoption of a resolution agreeing to no property tax revenue sharing between the Gilsizer Drainage District and Sutter County pertaining to the future annexation of Newcomb Ranch into the Gilsizer District.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Go, Mr. Michaelis.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. Obviously, you're very well familiar with the Boat Stewart Master Plan, which comprises 758 acres moving from the county into the city. And this is a small, well, it's not small. It's a good chunk of that whole process. So right now, what this action is the Boat Master Plan proposes to add the western 161 acres of the plan into the Gilsizer Drainage District sphere of influence. And so that would be going from county into Gilsizer. And per LAFCO, both the county and the Gilsizer must agree on how property tax, how that revenue will be reallocated. And so what the amount of money that we're talking about here is all the parcels that are involved with this contribute to one pot of property tax revenue, which is equivalent to about $64,000 in this fiscal year. And that amount gets spread across all the entities within Sutter County, so the city, the county, the school, and the taxing, the taxing districts. And Sutter County's portion is about $23,000 as of this fiscal year. So that amount goes straight into our general fund. And what we're deciding on here is if we want to share that $23,000 with Gilsizer per LAFCO requirements to have the discussion. So as a starting point, staff recommends that that we do not share this revenue with Gilsizer, and that's for the following reasons. First off, it's actually quite common that counties do not share property taxes with special districts in this situation, and we're proposing to not be different, much different than that. And the reason why counties typically don't share is because this is money that is coming straight out of the county's general fund. So we are sharing it at our expense, basically. Now, you're well aware of the Boat Master Plan tax sharing agreement between the city and the county, and that comprehensively covered everything related to the city and the county and the annexation and the sharing of property and sales tax. But it did not cover this separate issue of Gilsizer, of county moving into Gilsizer.
Through the chair.
So,
oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Never mind. Sorry, go ahead. I thought you were done.
Go ahead.
Okay. So if there is a substantial development activity in that area and there's an increased demand for county services, there wouldn't be a funding stream for that additional demand. So county staff also, the last reason that county staff recommends no tax sharing is that if it were to tax share, it would be subsidizing district operations at the expense of giving our property tax to the district. Generally, what we strive for is not to have the general fund subsidize operations of taxing districts, and that would be taking place if we were to decide to share. So the implication of that is if we choose to not share and Gilsizer has a significant increase in demand for services, then they will be looking at implementing a fee which is currently not in place. Lastly, the final point is that LAFCO requires that both Gilsizer and the county be in agreement with this. So staff took this same request to Gilsizer on October 13th, and they approved a similar resolution with similar language as this attached resolution. So this is now for your consideration, and if you approve the recommendation, this will go to LAFCO and keep this process moving.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Michaelis. We have Supervisor Baines first, and then Supervisor Koenig.
So I wanted to move to approve staff's recommendation.
Okay, we have first and a second. Supervisor Conant, did you have comments?
I just want to make some comments. I happen to agree, Matt. It would be unfair that the county would provide this $22,000, and the developers and the development should pay Gilsizer for its services that rendered to them in the future. So to share this money would be kind of silly, and it's kind of sort of like the same problem we have with the fire departments and the the funding we're doing right now for special districts and the fire departments and we're going to have to come out with the general fund money to that, which is unsustainable. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Conant. Any further comments from the board before we move to vote? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Okay, great. The ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Michaelis. Move on now to, I guess, is this a consideration of a letter of support of Sixth County redistricting proposal, Steve, or is Matt?
Yes,
Okay.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. So this is for consideration of sending a letter in support of a Sixth County redistricting proposal, much like the current process that we're going through for supervisorial districts. The state is going through the process for assembly and congressional and Senate seats. There's a 2020 California Citizens Redistricting Commission, and they've released some different draft maps which are attached. To make this presentation shorter and summarize, which I've noticed in the past the board appreciates, what I can say is that the letter is seeking to address that valley rural counties have a lot in common, from agriculture to demographics and other issues, flood, relevant to our area, and that it makes the most sense to put areas like that together in a district, or at least for consideration, versus, say, as you'll notice on some of the maps, including Solano County, a large Bay Area, mostly urban population centers. So I know that I've communicated with the CAOs of Glenn, Colusa, and Yuba County, who will all be considering this same letter soon. I would ask, if approved by the board, that to have the freedom to slightly change the letter to ensure we're including all of the proper information. I noticed one typo, but other than that, would leave it up for your consideration. Happy to answer any questions.
Move to approve.
First?
Through the chair.
Yes.
Sorry. Yeah, I just had a quick question. I mean, I guess this is for our congressional district as well, but I don't see how it, I mean, I'll be for it, but I just don't see how it would really change much for our third congressional district, especially since we're losing a seat in California. But, I mean, I guess it's worth a try, but I don't know how District 1 would have enough of a population to still have two separate districts. But anyways, I'm just my comments there.
Did you have any comments on that, Steve?
Ultimately, this is just kind of like how we seek public feedback. Mm-hmm. We're providing feedback to the state that, keep in mind, us valley rural counties north of Sacramento have a lot more in common than, say, spreading us out. And you can see one of the maps that were included and includes Alpine County, Amador County, some of the more Sierra County, some of the more mountain counties versus that don't deal with the same issues that we do.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion to approve by Supervisor Baines. Do you have a second? Okay, a first and a second by Supervisor Ziegemeier. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Okay, ayes have it. The motion carries. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. And now we have follow-up reports and announcements. Steve, did you have any further announcements?
No, right now I don't. If I think of something, I'll let you know. Thank you.
Okay. Did anyone want to talk about this Bethel housing? Is there someone we...
No, unfortunately, the gentleman did not show up to speak to that
Okay, we received this. It's Bethel Housing and Economic Development Corporation present a dinner and a movie, and it's on November 13th. And if you need any further information, I think the place to go is the EDC, and you can go to the Economic Development Corporation, and there it is. So, okay. We might hear more about that.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll move on to any board reports or sympathy. We'll start on this side.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, just wanted to let everybody know. I know it's a little bit last minute, but I'm going to try to shoot over there in Live Oak tonight. They're having a candidates forum for that open seat for the city council. That starts at 6 o'clock at Live Oak Middle School. So I'll be attending there, and I think a couple of you guys might join as well. So, and then yeah, I'd like to ask to send a letter of condolence to Pasquale Perez, who is the father of my very good grade school friend Mario Perez, who just had a tragic accident and passed away a few days ago. And unfortunately for Pasquale, this was his only son, and his wife also passed away less than 2 years ago with another tragic accident. And so thoughts and prayers certainly go out to him. And if I could, with the staff, I might try to personalize that one a little bit. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Supervisor Conant?
I'd like you to do Carm first because he's going to do what I want to tag on.
Okay, we'll go to Supervisor Baines then.
Yes, Garth Henderson, everybody knows from Valley Truck Contractor, that passed over the weekend. Wanted to send a letter of sympathy and condolences out to family members left behind. And also have we could add, probably wants to come from the entire board,
Everybody,
probably. Right. Then we have, two constituents within the district. We have Surjan Singh Nakwal, one of the owners of the Punjab Bazaar store here just down the road. Their funeral services tomorrow, if you send a letter of condolence to their family. And Jay Dollar passed this last week, and the services will be on the 30th. We could get letters sent out to their family as well.
Okay, thank you, Supervisor Baines. Supervisor Conant?
Yes, I just want to tag on with the Carm's sympathy for Garth Henderson. Garth is a great guy. He was a Valley Truck and Tractor employee for many years, was my tractor salesman for many years. And then after he retired from there, he went to work for Moe's Flying Service and was their general manager at Moe's Flying Service. And as many of you may remember, Moe passed away probably 5 or 6 years ago, followed by his son in that terrible accident that claimed Bert Hoy and Brian Van Dyke. And so upon his death, that's when Garth went to work for them and helped run their business. So it seems like they've had many tragedies over there. And I also would like that letter sent. And then I guess we'll do district reports afterwards.
No, go ahead now if you like.
Okay. So then as district reports, I'd just like to say this rain event we had last Sunday was unprecedented. The ranch had 5 3/4 inches, most of it occurring in less than 24 hours. Several neighbors had 6 3/4 and up to 8 inches of rain within a mile of our ranch. And this rain events caused huge amounts of problems in the Pleasant Grove area. They just had a levee failure on Auburn Ravine, and it's got water into the parking lot for Pleasant Grove School, and I don't know if it will. They do have a flood wall around the school, so they're probably going to have to enact that flood wall. So yeah, the impacts are pretty great, and there's a lot of development that has occurred in Placer County over the years, and a lot of that water ends up coming our way. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you for the update. Supervisor Ziegemeier?
Close in memory of well, first of all, Garth Henderson, friend to everyone. Great guy, corner office right there, always fun to chit-chat with. Just, he's going to be greatly missed. Albert Runyon, 86 years old, Yuba City. Was still a substitute teacher up to last year. Great guy to be around. He's going to be very missed. And so, Sutter High School varsity volleyball games tonight. Playoff game, 6 o'clock at Sutter. Rest Luau, November 6th. Yuba City Multi-Purpose Room. That's a fun event, the Luau. Big thing, guys. Today, the FDA approved, the FDA vaccine advisors voted to recommend the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to children 5 to 11. That was today, 17-0. For those of you guys watching the news, we had over between 30 and 40% of parents took their kids out of school last week. 30 to 40%. I'm one of those parents that child will not be taking the vaccine. Will not happen. There's a lot of parents that feel that same way. And we better act before, I mean, there's going to be a lot of mayhem out there if they start coming in and telling that, hey, we're giving your child this vaccine or they're not going to school. We're going to have a lot of kids not attending schools. And you take all those kids not attending schools, especially the ones that are getting into their adolescence, not a lot of good's going to come out of it. So we got to figure something out because no one else is. And like I said, from here at the county level, it's going to be sad when you're going to see, like I said, it's 30, 40%. Maybe it trickles down even a little less, but still, though, that's a big difference. A lot of parents out there want parent choice. So that's all I have to say. Thank you. Oh, and happy Halloween to everyone. This Sunday's Halloween, so be safe out there and have fun trick-or-treating.
All right, thank you, Supervisor. And I'd entertain a motion.
Approve.
First, second by Supervisor McKelly. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Great. Ayes have it. Motion carries. We're going to adjourn this meeting.
Into closed session.
Yes.
The chair.
Announce the closed session. I should do that before the adjournment, but okay. So if we can direct the clerk to read the title of the closed session, which has grown now. It's double closed session. Oh, did you have something else? I think he was trying to tell me not to close the meeting. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't close it because we're still going close.
Announce the closed session before you close.
Yeah.
So the first closed session that we have is the appointment of public employee.
If I can get everybody's
Title,
attention
County
for just
Council,
a moment. Well, she does the announcement and then.
pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, subsection B. And then the second closed session is Conference of Legal Counsel, Existing Litigation, Tahara versus County of Sutter, Sutter County Sheriff's Department et al., case number CVCV18-01850, Sutter County Superior Court, pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, subsection D, subsection 1.
Okay, thank you for reading that. We'll go to closed session and we'll adjourn the meeting. And here we go. We'll open up.
All aboard!
We can show you how. Live streaming can be simple and not expensive. You may already have the basic tools right in your hand. But it's more than just pushing live to communicate effectively. That's where Yuba-Sutter.live and Live Streaming YS on Facebook can help you. Make it easy to jump in. Just give us a call at 530-301-2931 or visit our website www.yuba-sutter.live. Yuba-Sutter's home of live streaming and live streaming tools, live streaming services, technology, and training. Live streaming is yuba-sutter.live.